My wife and I moved in right from the beginning of our relationship. Something I would probably not recommend, but it helped us build a really, really strong foundation. I've told the story how me and my wife met before, and my wife and I talked about this thing in our podcast, Translating Love, before it became Hello, I'm Listening. And I feel like it's still something that is very profound to me. That's why I'm here. That's why I'm talking about it. So my wife and I knew once we rekindled our relationship that we wanted to give it a shot. And so after my wife visited in fall of 2016, she came back in 2017, very green-eared, I don't know what the thing is, to stay here for good, or at least for a longer amount of time. We had no clue how to make it happen, what was required, what documents we would need, and also what option was there for her to stay here. And it was a very ignorant choice, but I feel like ultimately a very good one, because we were determined to try everything. And the first year, after some hiccups, we finally made it happen that Danielle was able to stay here for a year, 12 months on a au pair visa, helping out families with their kids. We fought a lot in that first year especially, and also in the second year, but there were a lot of things that we had to work through. And Translating Love, our first podcast, was essentially that, by just talking about and learning about ourselves and going through stuff and just, learning from each other. And one of the biggest problems, I guess, was the language barrier, something that I did not see at first as a problem, because I was able to understand and talk, obviously, in English. But when it came to more complex language, expressing your feelings, tone, stuff like that, I had a harder time to convey myself, especially in heated situations. And so that led to a lot of pointless and stupid fighting, because I expressed something that was misunderstood, or the other way around. She expressed something that was misunderstood on my end. I felt attacked, or I felt, something that was not the case, but I still felt it. In that moment, it was true to me. So a fight broke out.
I think the hardest thing about moving here, just in general, not purely based on the relationship, was communication. And I knew a little bit of German when I moved here, but it was more, I always call it travel German. And I couldn't get to know his family. I couldn't make a lot of friends because I just didn't know how to communicate. And it was really a challenge in the beginning, even just going to the bakery and getting some bread, or going to the doctor. And there were a lot of things that caused a lot of anxiety. And so that transfers over into the relationship. You have these anxieties from just daily living in a different country with a different language that you're trying to learn, and then also trying to build a relationship with that. And, with all of that anxiety just kind of in the background all the time. And, obviously we would have arguments just like every couple does, but it having been the beginning of our relationship made it really a really big challenge, because you're still learning so much about each other and living together in this small space with other people around. So yeah, we had a lot of trouble with communication in the beginning, and to his credit, he did have to speak more English with me because my German just wasn't up to par. And so when we would argue, we were arguing in English, and sometimes it just didn't translate over in the way that it would normally maybe come out. So it came out maybe more harsh, or there was miscommunication, and that usually made the fights worse. But after just kind of sticking it out together, we decided this relationship is more important to us than anything else. And so we worked on it, and we both put in the time and the effort and went to therapy. And because of that, we were able to really build this solid foundation based on good communication. And I think that's really been what has been such a game changer for our relationship throughout the entire relationship. And we handle conflict much better now. So yeah, I guess that's my perspective.
Anger issues and also resolving arguments in a, grown-up fashion. I was lacking those skills, and Danielle painfully showed me a mirror in a lot of ways, multiple times. And yeah, I had to learn a lot of things at the age of 27, 28. And I'm almost embarrassed to say that at the age of 28, I was finally understanding and seeing how a real, fight or argument, no matter how big or small, is resolved in a, constructive manner without getting passive or angry or just, throwing hurtful shit at each other. I think one of the biggest learnings for me was just seeing my parents fight, but then also don't see them come together again and, hug it out or say I'm sorry or resolve the whole fight. And I think that was in my growing up, something that I was missing. And no other relationship or girlfriend of mine before Danielle was able to or did show me a mirror and say, hey, your behavior is not okay. You're very passive right now. You're saying hurtful things only to deflect you being hurt or you feeling misunderstood or whatever, And a big learning for us was definitely the I feel or this made me feel type of conversation where you talk about your own side, your own feelings and the things that made you feel a certain way versus the accusing, hey, you said this and blah, 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 you meant this by, and that always leads to passiveness, that always leads to misunderstanding, that always leads to name calling even. I already said that the first 2 years were the hardest, and I mean that simply because we were thrown into, first of all, cold water. We didn't know what a roller coaster ride of emotions, feelings, and just, fights this is going to be. And I feel like that was also good because otherwise we probably would have just, left it. And we came close to just calling it quits multiple times. I would lie, saying what was the other side, but I feel like her showing me the mirror and her putting that much energy into making me recognize my own problems and faults, and I obviously did the same, and then also going to therapy and talking with a professional about communication skills, and then also starting a podcast where we actually sat down for an hour or maybe longer talking about those issues, and even starting to fight after or before helped us to really, tackle this thing, to really weed out everything that was not good, to build something that was lasting and to build something that was strong. And I feel like that's what we did. And now we are married almost 8 years. We built a home in 2022. We have a dog, we have a daughter, and another child coming soon. And I feel like that's all based on this early work we've done, all the energy, sweat, and tears we put into the first couple of years. I'm a go with the flow person, and I've never really planned my life. I've never really planned certain steps in my life. That might seem odd because, I have a business, a family. I mean, I need to plan a little, sure. But I never, back in school, I never planned to, I will do this, and then I go to this school, and then I become this. I never did that. I always went with the flow. I always went with my gut feeling, like, does this feel right? or I didn't even question. I was like, okay, this just fell into my lap. I will take that chance. And I'm glad I did. I ended up, I feel like, where I'm supposed to be. And lastly, I just wanted to, and I think that's my biggest learning, and that goes for relationships, that goes for work, that goes for school. Find something or someone that shows you a mirror, that makes you grow, that makes you see your, not problems, but your zones that you could work on. Nobody's perfect, obviously. We're not born perfect. We all make mistakes. We all try to learn from them, at least I hope so. But if you find someone in a relationship sense, for example, doesn't need to be, romantically, it can also be in a work relationship. Someone who shows you the mirror and someone who tries to push you forward, not makes you feel bad because of the things you did wrong, but actually says, hey, you could work on this. Or, you tend to get very quickly angry, maybe work on that, maybe go to see a therapist and work on that, or the passiveness, or whatever it is, you are having a hard time with. Find someone who points those things out. And if you have someone in your life that does that, keep them. Because ultimately, if you want to get better, if you want to, be a better person, change is the only thing that can happen. And a person who pushes you to do that change, to make you see the things that are, holding you back, is the best thing you can have in life. Danielle was the first person and the first girlfriend that actually showed me a mirror where I listened. I was at an age where I was finally able to evolve. I was finally able to say, okay, I want to change because this is important enough for me. I was in an age where I was able to recognize that. And I feel like that's also a factor. But what I want to say is that because of her showing me the mirror and showing me how I could be better in so many ways, I am a better person now. I am a better father. I am a better husband. I still am not perfect, obviously. I still need to work on certain things. I know the things I have to work on, but I'm willing to do that. And I'm so grateful for her giving me the chance in the most fucked up situations where I was really at the end and where I could really see her leaving me, that she didn't, and that she stayed and stuck with me, and that she gave this thing a chance, even though, especially at the beginning, I was not ready for a serious, committed relationship like that. I was not ready to go into a grown-up relationship, and I'm very thankful for that. So that's a thank you to you, Danielle. Thank you for watching. I know this is a very personal video, but maybe you can take away a few things. Thanks for subscribing if you want to see more. I'm doing this for fun. I'm doing this for trying to improve myself in a lot of ways, and I'm doing this for you. If you enjoy it, please, like, subscribe, and leave a comment. Thank you.